Hey, 42 here. Existence is strange, and there's no way we can ever manage to understand all the many mysteries of life, the universe, and everything. When we come across something we don't understand, most of us turn to teachers, parents, smart friends, or probably Wikipedia, in an attempt to sort out what's what. Some people, though, like to close their eyes, stick out their finger, and believe whatever crazy solution it lands on. And this isn't just reserved for the darkest corners of the internet. Many public figures and celebrities have dived headfirst into the pool of pseudoscience, conspiracies, and good old-fashioned nonsense. Today, we look at famous people with outrageous theories and beliefs. Gravity seems to be a problem in a number of wild theories, but one of the best surely has to come from internet personality David Avocado Wolfe. He's the least famous person on this list, but he deserves first billing because of the sheer ludicrousy of his beliefs. You probably all have a friend who share his steady stream of vague and generally harmless motivational memes. He has almost 6 million followers on Facebook and built a career as a raw food enthusiast, promoting a variety of superfoods and supplements. Oh, and he believes that gravity doesn't exist as we know it, and it is actually a toxin that we should get rid of. There are many videos of him, both interviews and recordings of public lectures, where he puts forward a range of theories about various foods and the body. But his gravitationally questionable theory is that he believes salt is basically the gatekeeper of water, and to quote him, the reasons why the oceans are salty is that's what's needed to hold the water onto the earth. If that didn't happen, the water would levitate right off the earth, and that would be the end of it. He doesn't say what happens to the unsalted freshwater rivers and lakes, but let's just assume they're tied down with some magic rope, or maybe the fish just grip onto it really tightly. He loves salt for its ability to keep water retained in your muscles. He even recommends just having it lying around your house to prevent allergies, insomnia, and migraines. Have you ever seen a peanut with a migraine? No? Exactly. But the Wolfe's expertise do not end there. Here is a brief outline of some of his other wonderful theories. Chocolate lines up planetarily with the sun. Chocolate is an octave of sun energy. And that, children, is why you should always eat up all your Kit Kats. But seriously, chocolate lines up with the sun? What does that even mean? Here's another omniscient quote of his. Mushroom spores can levitate off the planet because they are surrounded by a shell of ormus, which is actually trying to get to the centre of the sun. I didn't think mushroom takers intended to get quite that high. In case you're curious, ormus is an idea created by David Hudson in 1975. They are supposedly precious metals without molecular bonds, so all the atoms exist separately. And yes, you're right, that is complete nonsense. And one more of David Wolfe's theories is that deer antler is not a product, it's a cosmic substance. I'm not sure the deer will feel that way as you chop their space horns off their heads. He believes the horns make you younger. Did I forget to mention he's also a flat earther too, along with a load of other nonsense theories, but I think I'll stop there. I need to go and eat some salt before I float away again. Another David now, this time ex-BBC sports presenter David Icke. David Icke started out as a goalkeeper. Unfortunately, arthritis forced him to retire at just 21, but he went on to carve out a successful career as a sports presenter, eventually co-hosting the BBC show Grandstand, the most watched sports show in the UK. Due to his arthritis, he began looking into fringe medicine and New Age philosophies, which led him to become involved with the Green Party, and also to an important meeting with a psychic, who told him he had been sent to heal the world. She didn't exactly say what was wrong with the world, some sort of stomach bug I presume, but nevertheless David Icke was the man to heal it, apparently. He began developing an even more elaborate theory about why the world had gotten into such a state of war, sickness and poverty, realising that there must be a shadowy cabal behind all this mischief. He believes that civilization was set up by a group of alien reptiles called the Babylonian Brotherhood. Their bloodline continues to this day, and they control everything from the United Nations and the media, led by the famous Illuminati, a mysterious group of world leaders feared by tinfoil hat wearers and internet keyboard warriors across the world. Yes, I'm looking at you. The reptiles apparently came from a constellation called Draco and were drawn to Earth not for the margaritas and well-organised bus routes, but for the monatomic gold, which is just another name for the ormus that we mentioned earlier. That impossible form of metal where none of the atoms are bonded together. So yeah, you're hearing me correctly. David Icke believes the world is run by lizards, with notable figures such as the Queen and most prime ministers and presidents being part of this omniscient lizard species. The reptiles are shape-shifting, obviously, and can take human form, so you'd better keep your wits about you. If you do catch anyone looking hungrily at a dead insect, then it's probably best to bow down to them, in case they are one of your overseeing lizard lords. Oh, one more thing, he also believes he is the son of God. I'll just leave that out there. Do you believe in life after love? Yes, I do, sure. But I'm not quite sure I believe in life after relying solely on homeopathic treatments. Cher is not alone in her support of homeopathy. A whole host of stars from Pamela Anderson to Tina Turner, Monica Bellucci and many others have all come out in favour of it. Now, alternative medicine is a complicated field, containing many treatments that may do real good, but have yet to be proven scientifically. Things like acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicines, and chiropractic, for example. There is a lot of anecdotal evidence about their effectiveness, but this has not been backed up by clinical testing, yet. The same cannot be said, however, about homeopathy. Trial after trial has proven without a doubt that the practice has no benefits beyond the placebo effect. In one of his most recent tests, Paul Glasher from Bond University in Australia oversaw 176 individual studies and found absolutely no difference between homeopathy and the placebo effect for 68 different illnesses. So hopefully they can stop wasting their time and now start looking into more important theories, such as if eating carrots helps you see in the dark, if I eat rabbits, will I see in infrared? So what is homeopathy? Invented by Samuel Hahnemann in 1796, it follows 3 laws. The law of similars, the law of infinitesimals, and the law of succussion. If the last one sounds like a made-up word, that's because it is. The law of similars means finding a cure that is similar to the symptoms, such as caffeine for insomnia or onions to treat the streaming eyes from hay fever. Then, the law of infinitesimals means that the more you dilute the substance in water, the more it increases its potency, which is just as ludicrous and contradictory as it sounds. The law of succussion just tells you that you should shake or tap the container during each mix so that the water maintains a memory of the substance. A lot of medicines in homeopathy are sold as either 30C or 100C, where the C stands for centesimal. 1C is 1 drop of the substance added to 99 drops of water. 2C is 1 drop taken from that previous solution, which remember is 1% substance, 99% water, and then added to another 99 drops of water. So 30C is the same process repeated 30 times over, making it 1 part per million. Numbers this big are kind of meaningless, so let me give you an analogy. To dilute 1 full drop of substance in a 30C solution, you would need enough water to cover every single planet in 500 million universes. So I'll get a bucket, you better start the rain dance. Basically, when you buy homeopathic treatment, you are literally paying for very expensive water. When asked, most homeopathy consumers thought that what they were actually taking was pills containing some kind of herbal extracts, but in reality, the original substance which was diluted in it was lost long ago during this repeated dilution process. What you're actually left with is water-infused sugar pills. But having said all this, the placebo effect is real. It even works on animals, and something with a long-standing history like homeopathy Even if it is based on a scientific falsehood and we have repeatedly proved that it does not work, is actually still quite likely to work and be effective on individuals who believe it to be true, because their placebo effect after the treatment will be more powerful. Now, if homeopathy requires you to reject some of your understandings of science, then Grammy-nominated rapper b.o.b would like you to tear up all your textbooks and make a new papier-mâché model of the world. In his single, Flatline, he laid out his belief that we live on a flat earth. He claims we have all been indoctrinated in a cult called science, and calls out famous astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, claiming he has been paid off. The scientist, along with his nephew, even created a retaliation rap to b.o.b. So, how did b.o.b end up with his bizarre conclusion that the world is a spinning plate? Mankind has actually known the world is round for a very long time, since it explains the way that ships disappear over the horizon, and why during a lunar eclipse it is possible to see the shadow that Earth makes on the moon, and you can quite clearly see that it's a sphere. Flat Earthers believe the world is a disc, with the Arctic Circle in the middle, and the Antarctic acting as a wall of ice surrounding the big plate. You can't walk over the edge because the wall is guarded by NASA, possibly all disguised as penguins. Now, I'm sure you have some questions like, what about the sun? What about planes and satellites? And if Earth is a plate, does that mean we're all someone's lunch? According to flat earthers, the sun and moon are apparently spheres measuring 51 kilometers across, and they move in circles above the Earth, just under 5,000 kilometers away, shining down like spotlights. The sun has a slightly spiraled orbit to account for its changing position in the seasons. There's also an anti-moon which causes eclipses, and it's made of crackers so you can eat it together with the cheese from the actual moon, and it's delicious. Oh wait, that's Wallace and Gromit. How the sun stays up there is a different matter, since gravity isn't real. According to their theory, the Earth is accelerating upwards at 9.8 meters per second squared, like we're on some sort of interstellar pancake elevator. So when you slip, you're not falling. The world is just high-fiving you in the face. All of NASA's achievements have been faked, of course, and every photo of the Earth is just a nifty bit of photoshopping, even before Photoshop was invented. And when it comes to air travel, well, all GPS has been rigged, so pilots think they are travelling around a sphere, but in fact are just wasting all our time, taking the scenic route in a big circle. The approach of the believers is to follow something called the zetetic method, which values sensory observation above rational thinking. So if the world looks flat, it must be flat, right? Well, by this logic, that tree is not far away, it's just very small, and Donald Trump is exactly what he appears to be, an angry genetically modified potato. Billy Corgan sprang to fame in the 90s as the face of the band Smashing Pumpkins, who became one of the largest rock bands of the era. Their albums Melancholy and The Infinite Sadness and Siamese Dream are ranked at 82 and 362 respectively in the Rolling Stone magazine's list of greatest albums of all time. But Billy dreamed no longer, recently describing himself and Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee as awake. This is conspiracy theory lingo for seeing what is really going on behind a shadowy curtain. And one of his current theories of choice is the notorious chemtrails. When you look up into the sky on a bright, cloudless day, you'll occasionally see the white plume left in the wake of a passing plane. Corgan, along with other stars such as Beck and Kylie Jenner, believe that these clouds are chemicals that the government is intentionally pumping into the atmosphere. Why would they do this? Well, perhaps to make people sick and get money through pharmaceutical sales. Maybe it's some sort of mind control technique, weather modification, or perhaps just to use the sky as a gigantic Etch-a-Sketch. In reality, these trails are caused by a couple of factors. Most importantly, the exhaust coming from the engines is hotter than the surrounding air, so the difference in temperature allows water to condense and then freeze, thanks to the ambient temperature and the high altitudes. The particles in the exhaust, such as soot and sulfur compounds, often serve as a site for this condensation and freezing to take place. It's also possible for the change in pressure caused by the wings and the body of the plane to act as a trigger for this. These contrails, condensation trails, can remain for minutes or even hours depending on the atmospheric conditions at the time. These trails may have an environmental impact since they can form sizable clouds, but their effect is limited to how they reflect heat radiation rather than the chemical content of the clouds themselves. Even if chemtrail believers reject these explanations, there's still one major flaw in their theory, since given the height of the planes, any chemicals being sprayed out would dissipate over hundreds of miles and lose their potency long before they reach the ground below. But as for Billy, he still believes that we cannot be saved. Musicians, nutritionists, and sports presenters are one thing. But what happens when the world's most powerful man has a bizarre theory close to his heart? Former US President Ronald Reagan was an avid believer in numerology. Numerology covers a range of superstitions about the relationship of numbers with people and events, often in the realm of the paranormal and relating to divination and astrology. Some form of number-based belief is common in many cultures, with lucky and unlucky numbers being created from the sounds and symbols of the words, or perhaps with their religious connections, such as the Holy Trinity or the 12 Apostles in Christianity, and May the 4th in Jediism. For Reagan, led largely by his wife Nancy and her favourite astrologer Joan Quigley, this mostly manifested itself in how he scheduled certain events. He delayed his inauguration as governor of California by 9 minutes, to put it at the most opportune moment. He even used numerology to decide the setup of the Reykjavik summit in 1986, where Reagan and Gorbachev laid the groundwork for the end of the Cold War. I would not have liked to be the translator who had to tell Gorbachev, "We're just waiting until Mars enters Uranus." Maybe his many psychics did actually help him though, as he was finally able to overcome the curse of Tippecanoe. 9th President William Harrison was involved in a war with a Native American tribe called the Shawnee, including the Battle of Tippecanoe. Supposedly, a Shawnee prophet called Tenskwatawa cursed Harrison, and since then, every president elected on a 20th year anniversary of William Harrison has died in office. This includes Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, as well as Harding's heart attack and Roosevelt's cerebral hemorrhaging, and JFK. But after Reagan became president, the curse seemed to have been broken. Thanks to Reagan's belief in magic numbers, George W. Bush, elected in 2000, was able to survive 3 attempted assassinations, an attack by a journalist's shoe, choking on a pretzel, and was one of the lucky members of the White House not to be shot in the face by Dick Cheney whilst hunting. It's somehow reassuring to know that no matter how famous or powerful you become, you can still be scared of monsters under the bed and believe in magical curses and treatments that could fix us all in an instant. I personally sometimes have this creepy feeling that I'm being watched by mysterious strangers from all around the world. Silly, isn't it? Thanks for the review, subscribe for more. 42. Meet the most audacious granddads this side of a Sunday roast. The so-called Grandpa Gang pulled off the largest burglary in English history. Welcome to the weirdest city in Alaska, Whittier. But Whittier is the city that forgot how to city, because it is home to just 220 people, and they all live in one building.